guys, it's Adrian. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you the biggest book haul I've ever done on my channel. I have over 50 books to haul today. Last year I did one of these videos as well. Last year I had 33 books. What happens is I have friends who go to England, and when they go to England they love to go through the thrift stores and find some books because they're really cheap and they're English, and there's hardly any English books in the country where I live at the moment. So I always give her money and she brings me back books, and she brought me 2 banana boxes full. Last year was 1, now it's 2. So I'm going to haul all these books for you. I don't know how. Ooh, easy coffee. Thank you, my love. I don't know a whole lot about a lot of these books. I did give her a list of books to get, but you know, when you go thrift store shopping, you kind of get what you can find. So she also grabbed a whole bunch of random fantasy books, random contemporaries that I don't know anything about, but I am equally excited to read. So I won't be giving you a synopsis for any of these books, mostly because for the majority of these books, I have no clue. Let's just jump right in, because I got lots of books to haul. Before I get started, I wanted to talk about a couple books that were purchased either for my daughter or for my husband. First up are a couple Terry Pratchett books that I probably won't ever get around to reading, so I'm going to give them to my daughter. They are a little bit high for her reading level. She's tried a couple of them already. They're meant for more like the young teenagers, and she's only 9, she's almost 10. So not yet. English also isn't her first reading language. So we'll see how far she gets. If I want to read them for middle grade March, I can always walk to her bookshelf and read them. First up is Hogfather by Terry Pratchett, and then Going Postal by Terry Pratchett, and lastly is a book that I'm going to read first before giving to her because I'm a little bit mindful of letting my kids read books about witches, and that is The Shepherd's Crown by Terry Pratchett. Next up, I've got George's Secret to the Universe by Lucy and Stephen Hawking. There's some stickers on here that I need to pull off at some point, but this one says, a dramatic adventure story for any young cosmologist in the making. This one, my daughter is really into science. Ooh, it has pictures. I think she would very much like this book. And then we've got a couple of books for my husband. First up, my husband really likes Star Wars and he really likes origami. So they got him a Star Wars origami because that's what he's been doing with my kids all summer vacation, folding stuff and crafting and coloring because he likes that kind of stuff. Me? I probably flunked arts and crafts in kindergarten. I've got not a creative bone in my body when it comes to folding and cutting and pasting and gluing. No. Next up is a book in a series that he wanted to have. He's heard a lot about. This is the second book, so we don't have the first one, but it would make a good Christmas present. And that's The Blood of Elves by this guy, because I can't pronounce Polish or Russian names or whatever it is. I don't have the gifts. But the first book to the series is called The Last Wish, and he's been wanting to read it, so there it is. And lastly, from the books that were not intended for me is the Star Wars trilogy by Chuck Wendig. This one is the Star Wars Aftermath. It contains Star Wars Aftermath, Star Wars Aftermath Life Debt, and Star Wars Aftermath The Empire's End. So he's excited. He's got this little collection of Star Wars books that is now going to have to find its own bookshelf because all these books, I need more bookshelf space. So sorry about that, husband. And now let's jump into the books for me. I'm so excited. The first one is A League of Honor by Elizabeth Moon, and I don't know anything about this book, but it says his courage will forge a nation. Sounds interesting. By the way, if you've read any of these books, let me know down below what you thought of them so that I can at least have sort of an idea of what I'm getting myself into. Next up was a book that was on my list that I was very excited to get, and that is Iron King by Julie Kagawa. This is the last book to the Iron Fae series. I have the first book, then I have the last one. I need to get the in-between ones, but I'm very excited about this one. I've mentioned a couple times before that I'm planning on doing a Fae recommendations video, but I've got to read a couple more series about Fae before I can do that accurately. So this is one of the series that I will be reading. She's even left me little notes that sort of explain these books. By the way, look at that. 10p sale. How can you not buy a book for 10p? It doesn't matter what it's about. It's like cheap and they're books. I'm so excited. Anyway, this little sticky note says this is an author that was on my list that didn't have the series on my list, but the author is there and for 10p. How could you go wrong? And that's The Forever Song by Julie Kagawa, which is the same author as the Iron Fae series that I just mentioned. Next up is The Wind Singer by William Nicholson. Next up is Ink Death by Cornelia Funke. This is another one of the books from a book that she got last year. Last year she brought Ink Spell and I needed some more of the series. So this is one of them. For that same series is Inkheart by Cornelia Funke. So I've got the complete trilogy now. By the way, I thought I'd mention that usually if I buy books full price, I'm a stickler for having books that match. Like the same edition from the series. When I buy them from a thrift store for less than $1 or £1 or euro, whatever currency I'm using at that moment, I really could care less. Next up is The Glass House. She already had this book and she bought it for herself twice. She has the whole series by Rachel Kane. Looks interesting. Next up is a book that she says she's already read and she liked, and that's The Skullduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. This is books 1 and 2. I think this is a middle grade, but I'm not entirely sure. And then I've got The Demon's Watch by Corin Mason. This is another book to that same series. I don't think that these are books that I'm going to let my kids read. I can't really judge them until I've read them myself, but they seem a little bit dark and evil. But I'm going to read them first. Can't judge a book until I've read it. So this probably will be like a good one for something like middle grade March. Next up is one that just by reading the tagline, I think I might have to read quite quickly. And that is The Map of Time. Would you break time to mend a broken heart? Yes, I would. This one is by Felix Palma. And then we have The Air of Night by Helen Lowe. If night falls, we all fall. A richly told tale. I feel like a lot of these books could be really great for October, so I'm very excited. Here's one that I just grabbed that I'm so excited about because I wanted to start this series, but I kind of wanted to wait till I had them all because I figured I'd end up binge reading them. And that's The Wise Man Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm so excited. Next up is Patrick Rothfuss's novella that goes along with that series, and that is The Slow Regard for Silent Things. Next up is The Redemption of Athalas by David and Lee Eddings. I feel like I've heard about this somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it, but I feel like I've heard about it somewhere. A new single volume epic. I love single volume epics. I love standalones. Hopefully this actually is a standalone. Another book that actually was on my list was Fragile Eternity by Marissa Marr. This is the next book, the third book in the Wicked Lovely series. I've already read the first one. I'm reading the second one for Sequel September. Now I've got the third one in case I want to continue on with the series. And then we have Vampire Academy. I was never particularly interested in buying these books, especially not full price, but I was interested in reading them way back when they were very popular. So I am happy to have this one. I'd like to give it a go, maybe for October again. Could be a good one. I like paranormal vampire books. I don't know. I just do. Also, a book that was on my list is Tithe by Holly Black. I have Valiant, but I didn't have Tithe, and I really wanted to read it again for my Fae book recommendations video that I'm trying to work my way through, which is taking forever because all of my months are full with stuff. But now I have it, so now I can read them both. Then we've got Slaves of the Master by William Nicholson. I have a bunch of these William Nicholson books, I think, so I'm gonna just mention them because I don't know what they are. But this one looks like it goes with that other book that I had mentioned earlier. Next up is The Alien at St. Wilfrid Street. This little sticky note says, because everyone should have this book, warning, this one made me cry. I'm assuming this is another middle grade book that will eventually go to my daughters, but I'm gonna read it first, obviously. And then we've got Tuck by Stephen F. Lohead. And then we've got Dark Angel by Eden McGuire. Dare to Believe. I like that red dress. Next up is Dawn Thief by James Barclay. I feel like this one sounds familiar as well, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Then there's The Fire Sermon by Francesca Haig. They were born together. They'll die together. Next up is The Scottish Prisoner by Andy Gowland. This is the third book to the Lord John Grey series. I've got the book, the bind up of all the novellas. Now I've got the third book. I need the first and second book so I can actually start reading this series because I am pretty interested in actually doing it. And they're not like as ridiculously long as the Outlanders, so I feel like I could actually read one of these in a month's time. And then I've got Spiderway Chronicles, The Watch of Milgarth. I think this is Milgarth, I can't really read it. Anyway, I have like the second or third book, and I think this is one of the later books in the series. I'm slowly collecting them again for my daughter, but I want to have them all. I want to read them all first. I still don't have the first one. I need the first one. So I might just order it at some point if it's on sale anywhere really cheap so I can get a go on this one. Next up is The Scorpio Races by Maggie Stiefvater. I've been working my way through the Wolves of Mercy Fall series by Maggie Stiefvater. My friend, the same friend who bought all these books, she owns it and I've been reading them. So she grabbed this one thinking that I might like it. I have no idea what this is about. Next up is The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. I have a couple other Terry Pratchett books in here that I'm going to give to my daughter, but they're a little bit still of a higher reading level for her, but at least she's got them for later. This one looks like it's an adult book, so I'm going to hold on to this one and see what it's about. Next up is a book series that I was very interested in reading at some point, but it wasn't on my high priority list, and I wasn't really into buying all of the books to the series because they can get pretty pricey, but she found them for me for £5, so how could you not? So I got the entire Mortal Instruments series, and they match my Infernal Devices series as well, which is always very exciting. Don't have any plans on reading these anytime soon, but I would like to get to them because I did like the Infernal Devices series, and I'd like to read the other books that Cassandra Clare has out, but I feel like I should read these first. So, very exciting. Then we've got The Sorcerer's Daughter by Faye Sampson. The One Ring to Rule Them All. No, I'm just kidding, but it does have a ring. Another book that was on my list was the Grisha trilogy. So I've got Siege and Storm. This is book 2, so I don't have book 1, but I do have book 2, which is very exciting, by Lee Bardugo, obviously. Next up, we've got The Sea of Trolls by Nancy Farmer. This looks like pirate trolls. That could be cool. Next up, looks like a romance by Josephine Angelini, and that is Dreamless. Their love could last forever if it doesn't kill them first. I'm all about the dramatic. Next up is another contemporary. I feel like we've reached the part where all the contemporaries are, and that is When Beauty Tames the Beast, a Regency Tale by Louisa James. And also A Kiss at Midnight. This sounds like fairy tale retellings, again by Louisa James. I don't know if this is a series or if they're loose individual books. I will find out. Next up is Lily by Holly Webb. This book looks kind of creepy. Let me know if you think this book looks kind of creepy. No idea what it's about, but it kind of freaks me out. And then we have Glint by Anne Colburn. I love when books like give you no idea what the book is actually about, the book cover, because I got no clue. But I will find out. I'm gonna spend hours looking up all these books on Goodreads this afternoon. My poor kids are gonna get neglected. This one looks really cool. This one's called Hive, Higher Institute for Villainous Education by Mark Walden. This looks like one that I'm going to have to read very soon. The Grijze Jager by John Flanagan. There's an English name to this book. I just don't know what it is, and I don't think it's The Grey Hunter. This is the first book, I think, in a series. Next up is The Ranger's Apprentice. This is book 2 of the Burning Bridge series by John Flanagan. Next up is Blood Magic by Tessa Gratton. Apparently Maggie Stiefvater adores this book. Next up is, I think, another middle grade book, and that's The Curse of Salamander Street by J.P. Taylor. And then we've got Angel by L.A. Weatherly. Next up is another book that wasn't on my list, but the author was, and that's Graveminder by Melissa Marr. I don't know what this one is about. I've never actually heard of it, but again, I will find out. I feel like a broken record. This is what I keep saying all day long. Then we've got Age of Iron by Angus Watson. Legends aren't born, they are forged. Next up is a book that I'm pretty sure I'll be unhauling and giving back to her because this cover already freaks me out. And that is Keeper of the Realms, Crow's Revenge by Marcus Alexander. Took me a long time to read because I'm trying not to stare at the picture. Next up is Texas Gothic by Rosemary Clement Moore. I feel like witch books, oh, this one says, by the way, you can't escape your inner witch. I feel like witch books for me are sort of hit and miss. I'm very particular about which witch books I will read. I made a comment to the same friend about Beautiful Creatures. I didn't really like it because I felt like it was too dark. And her response was, and yet you read Nevernight. I don't know. There's no reason to my logic. It's just the way that it is. So I'll have to look this one up and see what it's about. If not, I'll give it back to her, or I'll give it to somebody else, or I'll donate it, or something. But usually I like to at least give these books a try. I don't like to judge them right away, because there are a lot of witch books that I don't mind reading. Harry Potter, for example, but we'll see. And lastly, another book from the same series by William Nicholson is Fire Song. So that wraps it up for this giant book haul. This took me seriously like an hour to film, but I have to reorganize my bookshelves. I just did a bookshelf organization video because I had moved them all around from the domino challenge I did for the booktubeathon, but now I gotta do it again. Don't worry, I'm not making another bookshelf organization video because it just takes too long. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. Let me know down below if you have read any of these books, because 90% of them I have no idea what they're about, and I would love to know if you liked them, if you hated them, so leave it down below. If you have not yet, I would love for you to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.